The ship came from the stars on a cold morning in December 2187. It was silver and smooth, shaped like a teardrop, and it hung above New York City without making a single sound. People stopped in the streets. Cars crashed into each other. Children pointed at the sky and asked their parents what it was. Una Kim was 42 years old when first contact happened. She was an admiral in Earth's United Defense Force, and she had spent her whole life preparing for threats from other nations. She had never imagined a threat from the stars. Within hours, the world's leaders gathered in an emergency meeting. The alien ship had not attacked. It had not communicated. It simply waited, as if it was watching humanity scramble like ants beneath its shadow. Then the message came. The voice spoke in perfect English, though it sounded strange, like metal scraping against glass. It said that representatives of the Galactic Council wished to meet with Earth's leaders. It said that humanity had been observed for many years. It said that a decision would be made about Earth's future. Jin Choi was chosen to lead Earth's diplomatic team. He was 50 years old, a patient man who had spent decades negotiating peace between warring nations. He had silver hair and calm eyes, and he never raised his voice, even when others shouted at him. Jin selected his team carefully. He brought scientists, translators, and military advisors. Among them was Tae Park, a young genius who had invented Earth's first faster-than-light engine just 3 years earlier. Tae was only 31, but his mind worked faster than anyone Jin had ever met. They boarded a shuttle and flew up to meet the alien ship. As they approached, a door opened in the silver hull, and light poured out like water. Jin took a deep breath and stepped inside. The interior of the ship was beautiful and terrifying. The walls seemed to be made of living light. Strange symbols floated in the air, glowing softly. And standing in the center of a vast chamber were the Lumari. They were tall, nearly 8 feet, with pale blue skin and eyes that had no pupils. They wore robes made of something that looked like woven starlight. When they moved, they seemed to glide rather than walk. The leader of the Lumari delegation stepped forward. His name was Sovereign Velthan, and he had been alive for over 2,000 years. To him, humanity was like a child who had just learned to walk. "Welcome," Velthan said. His voice was soft but carried across the chamber without effort. "We have watched your species for some time. You have achieved faster-than-light travel. This is why we are here." Jin bowed his head respectfully. "We are honored by your presence. Earth wishes only friendship and cooperation with the Galactic Council." Velthan's expression did not change. "The Council does not offer friendship. The Council offers order. There are over 300 species in our alliance. Each has accepted their place. Each follows the rules we have established over 10,000 years." Jin felt a coldness in his stomach, but he kept his face calm. "And what place would Earth have in this order?" "That is what we will decide," Velthan said. The negotiations lasted 3 days. Jin presented humanity's case with patience and skill. He spoke of Earth's history, their struggles, their achievements. He showed them art and music and literature. He explained humanity's dreams of exploring the stars and meeting other civilizations. The Lumari listened. They asked questions. They observed. On the 3rd day, Velthan gathered the human delegation in the chamber once more. His face was as unreadable as stone. "The Galactic Council has made its decision," he announced. "Earth's application for membership is rejected." Jin felt his heart stop for a moment. "May I ask why?" Velthan's eyes seemed to look through Jin rather than at him. "Your species is too aggressive. Your history is filled with war and violence. You are unpredictable and emotional. You cannot be trusted to follow the rules of civilized species." Tae Park stepped forward, his young face flushed with anger. "We came here in peace. We have shown you nothing but respect. Velthan turned his gaze to Tay. You have developed weapons that could destroy your own planet many times over. You fight wars over invisible lines on your maps. You cannot even achieve peace among yourselves. Why would we trust you among the stars? Jin placed a hand on Tay's shoulder, warning him to stay quiet. What does this rejection mean for Earth? You will be confined to your solar system, Velthan said. You may not expand beyond it. You may not develop certain technologies. Our patrol fleets will enforce these boundaries. If you violate them, there will be consequences. And if we refuse these terms? Jin asked quietly. Velthan's lips curved into something that might have been a smile. Then your species will be removed. The Council has done this before. We will do it again, if necessary. The delegation returned to Earth in silence. Jin stood at the window of the shuttle, watching the alien ship grow smaller behind them. His hands were shaking, but not from fear. They were shaking from rage. When they landed, Yuna Kim was waiting for them. She was a tall woman with sharp eyes and short black hair. She had commanded fleets and won battles that seemed impossible. But when she saw Jin's face, she knew something had gone very wrong. They rejected us, Jin said simply. Yuna nodded slowly. She had expected this. What are their terms? Jin told her everything. The confinement, the restrictions, the threats. When he finished, Yuna stood in silence for a long moment. They made a mistake, she finally said. Jin looked at her. What do you mean? Yuna's eyes were cold and hard. They think we are weak because we are young. They think we will accept their cage because we have no choice. They are wrong. That night, Yuna gathered Earth's most important leaders in a secret bunker beneath the Pacific Ocean. She stood before them and spoke words that would change history. The Galactic Council fears us, she said. They rejected us not because we are primitive, but because they know what we might become. They have given us a cage and told us to be grateful. I say we use this time. I say we prepare. And when we are ready, we show them exactly what humanity can do. Tay Park stood up. I can improve our technology. Given time, I can make us faster, stronger, better than anything they have. Jin Choi nodded slowly. And I will smile at them. I will play their game. I will make them think we have accepted our place. Yuna looked around the room at the faces before her. Scientists, generals, leaders, all of them angry, all of them determined. Then we are agreed, she said. Project Ascension begins tonight. The Council has made their choice. Now we make ours. Above them, the stars continued to shine, cold and distant. But somewhere among them, the Galactic Council had just made the worst mistake in their 10,000-year history. They had given humanity a reason to fight. 50 years passed like a slow river. To the Galactic Council, Earth seemed like a broken animal. The humans smiled when alien ships visited. They traded peacefully with the Aran merchants. They accepted the Veth patrol fleets that circled their solar system like hungry wolves. They never complained. They never threatened. They simply existed within their cage and seemed grateful for it. The Council was pleased. Another young species had learned its place. They were fools. Deep beneath the surface of the moon, in tunnels that no alien sensor could detect, Tay Park worked day and night. He was 81 years old now, but his mind was sharper than ever. His hair had turned white, and his hands sometimes shook, but when he looked at his inventions, his eyes burned with the same fire they had held 50 years ago. Tay had spent his life taking apart alien technology and learning its secrets. Every trade ship that visited Earth, every piece of equipment they bought from the Aran, every scrap of data Minasong's spies could steal, it all ended up in Tay's laboratory. The Lumare ships used engines that bent space itself. Tay studied them for 20 years until he understood exactly how they worked. Then he made them better. His pulse drive could travel 3 times faster than anything the Council possessed. The Veth weapons used focused energy that could cut through any known material. Tay found the weakness in their design. His shields could absorb that energy and turn it back against the attacker. Yuna Kim visited him once a month. She was 92 now, but she refused to retire. Her body had grown old, but her will remained unbreakable. She walked through Tay's laboratory, looking at the weapons and ships that would one day free humanity. "How much longer?" she asked. Tay smiled. "The fleet will be ready within the decade. 300 warships, each one capable of destroying a Veth cruiser. We have weapons they cannot imagine and defenses they cannot break." Yuna nodded slowly. "And the training?" "Every soldier in Earth's military has been prepared. They know what is coming. They are ready to die for it." On Earth's surface, life continued as normal. People went to work. Children went to school. Families gathered for holidays and celebrations. Most of them had no idea what was being built beneath their feet. But some did know. The young officers who trained in secret facilities hidden in mountains and beneath oceans. The engineers who built ships in asteroid bases that looked like mining operations. The spies who risked their lives every day to gather information from alien worlds. Mina Song was the master of this invisible war. She was 78 years old, a small woman with gray hair and a gentle face. She looked like someone's grandmother, but behind her kind eyes was a mind that had built the largest spy network in galactic history. Mina had agents on over 40 alien worlds. Some were humans who had been allowed to leave Earth for trade missions. Others were aliens who had grown tired of the Council's rule. The Auran, in particular, had become valuable friends. The Auran were traitors by nature. They had no interest in war or conquest. They simply wanted to buy and sell and live in peace. But the Council taxed them heavily and restricted their movements. Many Auran had come to hate their masters. Vel was one such Auran. He was a merchant captain who had visited Earth many times over the years. He had grown to respect humanity, their energy, their creativity, their refusal to give up even when everything seemed lost. Vel met with Jin Choi in secret in a small room on a space station at the edge of Earth's solar system. Jin was over 100 years old now, kept alive by medical technology that Tay had developed. His body was frail, but his mind remained sharp. "The Council suspects nothing?" Jin asked. Vel shook his head. "They believe Earth is broken. They joke about you in their halls. They call you the quiet monkeys who learn to behave." Jin smiled slightly. "Good. Let them laugh." "But there are whispers," Vel continued. "Some of the younger Lumari wonder why humanity has made no complaints for 50 years. They think it is strange that a species so aggressive has become so peaceful." "What do you tell them?" "I tell them that humans are slow learners, that it takes time for primitive species to accept their place." Vel paused. "They believe me." "For now," Jin nodded. "We need more time. 10 years, perhaps less." "You may not have it," Vel said quietly. "The Veth commander who patrols your system has requested permission to investigate Earth more closely. He believes you are hiding something." Jin's eyes hardened. "Then we must be more careful." The next decade was the most dangerous time in Earth's history. The Veth increased their patrols. They demanded inspections of Earth cities and space stations. They searched cargo ships and questioned travelers. Mina Song worked tirelessly to stay ahead of them. She fed them false information. She created fake facilities for them to inspect. She bribed some Veth officers and blackmailed others. Every time the aliens got close to the truth, she led them away. Meanwhile, a new generation of warriors was rising. Hannah Lee was 35 years old when she was chosen to command the battleship Horizon. She had grown up hearing stories of the rejection, of the humiliation her people had suffered. She had trained her whole life for the war she knew was coming. Hannah was not tall, but she had presence. When she walked into a room, people noticed. When she gave orders, people obeyed. She had a gift for tactics that seemed almost supernatural. In every simulation, every training exercise, she found ways to win that no one had imagined. Yuna Kim saw herself in Hannah. The same fire, the same determination, the same refusal to accept defeat. You will lead the first attack, Yuna told her. When the time comes, you will show the galaxy what humanity can do. Hannah nodded. I will not fail you, Admiral. I know you will not. The years continued to pass. Earth's hidden fleet grew larger. Its weapons grew more powerful. Its soldiers grew more ready. And then, in the spring of 2241, everything changed. A message arrived from the Galactic Council. It was addressed to Jin Choi, but its words were meant for all of humanity. The Council has determined that Earth poses a potential threat to galactic stability. Your species will be relocated to labor colonies across Council space. Your planet will be sterilized to prevent future problems. You have 30 days to prepare for transport. Resistance will be met with immediate destruction. Jin read the message 3 times. Then he called Yuna Kim. They are coming, he said. Yuna's voice was calm. How long? 30 days. Maybe less. There was silence on the line. Then Yuna spoke again. Then we do not wait for them. We meet them in the stars. That night, across Earth and throughout the solar system, orders went out to every hidden base, every secret shipyard, every soldier who had spent their life preparing for this moment. Project Ascension was active. The Galactic Council had decided to destroy humanity. They expected easy prey, a broken species that would go quietly to its death. They were about to learn how wrong they were. In her quarters aboard the Horizon, Hannah Lee looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, an invasion fleet was gathering. Somewhere out there, beings who saw her people as insects were preparing to crush them. She smiled. Come then, she whispered to the darkness. Come and see what we have become. The shadow years were over. The time for hiding was past. Humanity was ready to show the galaxy its true face, and the galaxy would tremble. The Veth Armada came out of the darkness like death itself. 200 warships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were massive, black and angular, covered with weapons that could burn cities to ash in seconds. At their center was the command ship of Fleetmaster Krath, a Veth warrior who had destroyed 14 worlds in his long career. Krath stood on his bridge, watching Earth grow larger on his screens. His insectoid body was covered in battle scars. His compound eyes showed no emotion. He had been given simple orders: remove the human infestation and sterilize their planet. He expected to be finished within a week. Signal the humans, he commanded. Tell them they have 1 hour to surrender. Anyone who resists will be killed. The message was sent. Across Earth, billions of people heard it. Parents held their children. Lovers clung to each other. Old men and women looked up at the sky and waited for the end. But in the secret bunkers and hidden bases, something else was happening. Yuna Kim stood in the command center of Project Ascension, surrounded by screens showing the enemy fleet. She was old now, her body held together by machines, but her voice was strong. All ships, prepare for launch, she ordered. The Council has come to kill us. We will show them that humanity does not die quietly. Across the solar system, hidden doors opened. From inside asteroids and beneath the surfaces of moons, ships emerged. 300 warships, sleek and deadly, their hulls painted black and marked with the blue symbol of Earth. The Horizon led them. Hannah Lee sat in her command chair, her heart beating fast but her hands steady. Around her, her crew worked with silent efficiency. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. All weapons online, her tactical officer reported. Pulse drive ready. Shields at maximum. Hannah nodded. Send a message to the Veth commander. Tell him that Earth rejects his surrender demand. Tell him that if he wants our planet, he will have to take it from our dead hands. The message was sent. On the Veth command ship, Krath received the response with confusion. No species had ever refused the council. No one was foolish enough to fight when defeat was certain. They are insane, one of his officers said. They are humans, Krath replied. They do not understand reality. Destroy them. The Veth fleet moved forward. Their weapons powered up. They expected to sweep aside whatever primitive ships the humans had built and proceed to the main target. They did not expect what happened next. The Horizon fired first. Its main gun sent a beam of concentrated energy across space, striking the lead Veth cruiser. The alien ship's shields, which had never failed in 100 battles, collapsed instantly. The cruiser exploded in a ball of fire. For a moment, there was silence on both sides. Then Hannah gave the order. All ships, attack. Earth's fleet surged forward. Their pulse drives made them faster than anything the Veth had ever faced. Their weapons cut through shields like paper. Their tactics were unpredictable, wild, terrifying. Krath watched his fleet die around him. 10 cruisers destroyed. 20. 50. His officers screamed for orders, but he had no orders to give. Nothing in his experience had prepared him for this. How is this possible? He demanded. They were supposed to be primitive. On the horizon, Hannah moved through the battle like a dancer. She anticipated the Veth movements before they happened. She set her ships where they could do the most damage. She found weaknesses in the enemy formation and exploited them without mercy. Target their command ship, she ordered. Cut off the head. The Horizon and a dozen other Earth warships broke through the Veth lines. They surrounded Krath's flagship, pouring fire into its shields. The massive ship shook and groaned. Explosions tore through its hull. Krath stood on his burning bridge, watching his screens fill with static. He had conquered worlds. He had crushed rebellions. He had never known defeat. This is not possible, he said quietly. Hannah's voice came through the communication system. This is Captain Hannah Lee of the Earth Defense Fleet. Your invasion has failed. Surrender or be destroyed. Krath's mandibles clicked with what might have been laughter. Surrender? The Council will send 1,000 ships to avenge us. You have won nothing, human. Then you choose death. I choose glory. The Horizon's main gun fired one last time. Krath's command ship broke apart, scattering across space like burning rain. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the Veth Armada was destroyed. Every single ship had been either burned or captured. Earth had lost only 12 vessels. Across the planet, people watched the news in stunned silence. They had expected death. Instead, they saw victory. Yuna Kim addressed the world that evening. She stood before cameras, her old face tired but triumphant. Today, the Galactic Council sent a fleet to destroy us. Today, that fleet no longer exists. For 50 years, we have prepared for this moment. For 50 years, we have built ships and weapons in secret, waiting for the day when we would need them. That day has come. She paused, looking directly into the cameras. The Council believed we were weak. They believed we would accept our death without fighting. They were wrong. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not break. And from this day forward, humanity will no longer be caged. Jin Choi sent a message to the Galactic Council. It was short and simple. You made your choice. Now we make ours. The council received the message in their great hall on the Lumari homeworld. Sovereign Velthan, now ancient even by Lumari standards, read it with growing horror. "This is impossible," said one of the council members. "Krath's fleet was unstoppable. How could primitive humans destroy it?" "They are not primitive," Velthan said quietly. "They never were. We made a terrible mistake. What do we do?" Velthan was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was heavy with fear. "We gather every ship we have. We call upon every member species. And we pray that it is enough." On Earth, Hanali walked through the corridors of the horizon. Her crew cheered as she passed. They had done the impossible. They had faced the monsters that had terrorized the galaxy for 10,000 years, and they had won. But Hannah did not celebrate. She knew this was only the beginning. She found a quiet observation room and stood at the window, looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the council was gathering its forces. The real war was about to begin. "We surprised them today," she said to herself. "We will not surprise them again. Next time, they will come with everything they have." She thought of her grandmother, who had told her stories of the rejection when she was a child. She thought of the generations who had worked and sacrificed to reach this moment. "We have started something that cannot be stopped," she whispered. "For better or worse, humanity has chosen its path." Behind her, the door opened. It was Yuna Kim, supported by her aides. The old admiral moved slowly, but her eyes were bright. "You did well today, Captain," Yuna said. "Thank you, Admiral. But the hard part is still to come." Yuna smiled. "Yes, it is. But I have seen what our people can do. I have seen you lead them." She reached out and took Hannah's hand. "I will not live to see the end of this war, but I know that you will win it." Hannah felt tears in her eyes, but did not let them fall. "I will make you proud, Admiral. You already have, child. You already have." Outside the window, the stars waited. The galaxy had tried to crush humanity and failed. Now humanity would show the galaxy what happened to those who underestimated them. The betrayal had been answered. The reckoning was about to begin. The war spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Hannah Lee did not wait for the council to attack again. She took the fight to them. Earth's fleet struck at military bases and shipyards across council space. They appeared without warning, destroyed their targets, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. The council had never faced an enemy like this. They were used to slow, careful wars. They were used to overwhelming their enemies with numbers. But humans fought differently. They were fast and unpredictable. They took risks that no other species would consider. Hannah became a legend in those early months. Stories spread across the galaxy of the human captain who could not be caught. She freed slave colonies. She destroyed supply lines. She burned Veth breeding grounds. Every time the council thought they had trapped her, she escaped and struck somewhere else. Mina Song's spy network proved invaluable. She told Hannah where the enemy was weak. She told her where they were gathering. She told her secrets that the council thought no one would ever discover. The most important secret came 6 months into the war. Mina's agents found records buried deep in the Lumari archives. Records that had been hidden for thousands of years. Records that told the truth about how the Galactic Council had really maintained its power. Mina read the files herself, her hands shaking. Then she called Jin Choi. "You need to see this," she said. "Everyone needs to see this." The records showed that humanity was not the first species the Council had tried to destroy. Over 10,000 years, they had done this 12 times before. 12 species that they had judged too dangerous to exist. 12 civilizations erased from history. The Thrall, who had asked too many questions, gone. The Vishari, who had refused to follow council rules, Gone. The Mendak, who had developed weapons the Council feared. Gone. 12 species. Billions of lives. All destroyed, not because they had done anything wrong, but because the Council was afraid of what they might become. Jin Choi broadcast the records across the galaxy. Every planet, every station, every ship. He let the universe see what the Council had done. "This is the truth they have hidden from you," Jin said in his message. "This is what the Council really is. They do not protect the galaxy. They control it. They murder any species that might challenge their power. And now they want to do the same to humanity." The reaction was immediate and massive. Species that had quietly accepted Council rule for centuries began to revolt. The Oran, who had been humanity's secret allies, openly declared their support for Earth. Their merchant fleets carried supplies and weapons to human forces. Other species followed. The Keth, a reptilian race that had been enslaved for generations. The Mural, whose planet had been stripped of resources to feed Council factories. The Solani, whose children had been taken to serve in Lumari households. The Council's alliance began to break apart. On the Lumari homeworld, Sovereign Velthan watched his empire crumble. He had ruled for over 2,000 years. He had believed his power was eternal. Now he saw everything falling apart around him. How did this happen? He demanded. How did one primitive species destroy everything we built? His advisors had no answers. The war continued. Hannah Lee, now promoted to admiral, led the combined forces of humanity and their new allies. She had grown into her role. She was no longer just a brilliant tactician. She was a symbol of hope for every species the Council had oppressed. Tay Park, despite his age, continued to improve Earth's weapons. His newest invention was something he called the solar cannon. It used mirrors and focusing crystals to concentrate the energy of a star into a beam of pure destruction. Nothing in the galaxy could withstand it. Tay showed Yuna Kim the weapon 2 weeks before she died. The old admiral was confined to her bed, kept alive by machines. But she smiled when she saw the designs. "This will end the war," she said. "Yes," Tay agreed. "But I hope we never have to use it." "Use it if you must." The Council showed no mercy to 12 species. We should not show mercy to them. Yuna Kim died the next morning. She was 143 years old. She had spent her entire life preparing humanity for this war. She did not live to see its end, but she died knowing that humanity would win. Hannah spoke at Yuna's funeral. Billions watched across the galaxy. "Admiral Kim taught me that strength is not about weapons or ships," Hannah said. "It is about refusing to give up. It is about fighting even when victory seems impossible." The Council told us to accept our cage. Admiral Kim said no. She said we would break our chains and make our own destiny. Today, because of her, we are doing exactly that. The war entered its final phase. Earth's forces had grown to over 1,000 ships, joined by hundreds more from allied species. The Council's military was in ruins. Only the Lumari homeworld remained. Velthan made one last attempt to save himself. He sent a message to Jin Choi, requesting negotiations. Jin agreed to meet, but he did not go alone. He brought Hannah Lee, Weena Song, and Tay Park. They boarded a shuttle and traveled to a neutral space station at the edge of Lumari territory. Velthan was waiting for them. He looked older than Jin remembered. His pale blue skin had become gray. His eyes, once so arrogant, were filled with fear. "I offer peace," Velthan said. "Full membership in the Council for Humanity. Equal rights. Reparations for the attack on your system. Everything you asked for 50 years ago." Jin listened in silence. When Velthan finished, Jin did not respond immediately. He looked at the alien who had once told him that humanity was too primitive to join the council. He remembered the humiliation. He remembered the decades of hiding and preparing. He remembered everyone who had died. 50 years ago, I came to you in good faith, Jin finally said. I offered friendship. I offered cooperation. You rejected us. You called us aggressive. You called us dangerous. You put us in a cage and told us to be grateful. He stood up, his old body straightening with anger. Now you come to us, your empire in ruins, and you offer us what you should have given us freely. You think we will forget what you did. You think we will forget the 12 species you murdered. You think we will let you keep your power so that you can do this again to someone else. Jin shook his head. No, humanity does not forgive. Humanity does not forget. You had your chance to be our friends. You chose to be our enemies. Now you will face the consequences. Velthan's face twisted with desperation. If you destroy us, you become what you hate. You become conquerors, murderers. You become us. Jin turned to leave. At the door, he paused and looked back. No, he said quietly. We become something you never were. We become justice. He walked out. Velthan remained alone, knowing that his time had run out. The final battle would come soon. And this time, there would be no mercy. The fleet gathered at the edge of Lumari space. Hanali stood on the bridge of the horizon, looking at the forces under her command. Over 2,000 ships from a dozen species. Humans in Orin and Keth and Mural and Solani, all united by a common enemy. It was the largest fleet in galactic history. Behind them, the solar cannon waited. Tapark's ultimate weapon, capable of channeling a star's power into a beam of pure destruction. Hannah hoped she would not need to use it, but she was prepared to do whatever was necessary. Admiral, the Lumari are transmitting, her communications officer reported. Sovereign Velthan wishes to speak with you. Hannah nodded. Put him through. Velthan's face appeared on her screen. He looked broken. His pale blue skin was gray, and his eyes were empty. Behind him, Hannah could see other Lumari, all looking terrified. Admiral Lee, Velthan said, I ask you to reconsider. My people have done terrible things. I will not deny this, but we are not all monsters. There are billions of innocent Lumari who played no part in the Council's crimes. Hannah looked at him for a long moment. She thought of the 12 species the Council had destroyed. She thought of the billions who had died because of Lumari arrogance. She thought of her grandmother, who had lived her whole life in a cage because aliens had decided humanity was too dangerous to be free. Sovereign Velthan, she said calmly, I do not want to destroy your people. I want to destroy your power. Surrender unconditionally, and your civilians will be spared. Resist, and I will do what I must. If we surrender, what happens to us? You will face justice for your crimes. Your military will be disbanded. Your government will be dissolved. You will become one species among many, equal to others, no longer ruling over them. Velthan's mandibles trembled. And if we refuse? Hannah's voice hardened. Then I will use the weapon we have built. Your orbital defenses will be destroyed. Your military will be crushed. And if you still refuse to surrender after that, I will do whatever is necessary to end this war. The transmission ended. Velthan did not respond. Hannah turned to her crew. Begin the final approach. All ships, battle formation. The fleet moved forward, a river of steel and fire flowing toward the heart of what had once been the most powerful civilization in the galaxy. The Lumari had gathered everything they had left. 500 warships formed a defensive ring around their homeworld. Orbital platforms bristled with weapons. Every able-bodied Lumari who could hold a weapon was ready to fight. But it was not enough. It was nowhere close to enough. The battle began at dawn. Earth's forces struck the Lumari defensive line like a hammer. Hana coordinated the attack with cold precision. Her ships targeted the strongest points first, breaking through the enemy formation and creating chaos. The Lumari fought desperately. They were defending their home, their families, everything they had known for 10,000 years. But they had grown soft during their long rule. They had forgotten how to fight against an enemy that would not give up. Hana had not forgotten. The horizon cut through the center of the Lumari fleet. Its weapons blazed, destroying one enemy ship after another. Around it, human and allied vessels pressed the attack, grinding the enemy down through sheer determination. After 6 hours, the Lumari fleet was destroyed. Their orbital defenses were burning ruins. Their homeworld lay exposed. Hana gave Velthan one final chance. "You have 1 hour to surrender," she said. "If you do not, I will fire the solar cannon at your main military complex. After that, I will give you another hour. Then I will fire at the next target. This will continue until you surrender or until there is nothing left." The hour passed in silence. Hana looked at her crew. They were tired. They had fought and bled and lost friends in this war. But they did not waver. "Fire the weapon," Hana ordered. The solar cannon activated. In a hidden location at the edge of the system, massive mirrors turned toward the local star. Energy gathered, focused, became something impossible. A beam of concentrated starlight crossed space. It struck the Lumari's orbital defense headquarters, a massive station that had commanded fleets for centuries. The station did not burn. It did not explode. It simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. The message was clear. Earth could destroy the Lumari homeworld if it chose. But it chose not to? Velthan surrendered 17 minutes later. The war was over. The days that followed were filled with difficult work. The Lumari government was dissolved. The old council was disbanded. Leaders who had ordered the destruction of species were arrested and put on trial. Jin Choi led the effort to build something new. Despite his age, despite his exhaustion, he refused to rest. He met with representatives from every species that had fought in the war. He listened to their grievances. He worked to find compromises that everyone could accept. "We cannot simply replace the old council with ourselves," Jin told Hana one evening. "If we become the new rulers, we become what we fought against. We must create something better. What do you suggest?" "A federation. Not one species ruling over others, but all species equal. Each planet governs itself. Each species maintains its own culture and traditions. But we work together on matters that affect everyone." Hana nodded slowly. "The Council will never accept this. They will fight to keep their power." "The Council no longer exists," Jin reminded her. "We destroyed it. Now we must build something in its place." The new galactic government took shape over the following years. It was not perfect. There were arguments and disagreements. Some species wanted revenge against the Lumari. Others wanted to isolate themselves from the galaxy entirely. But Jin was patient. He spent 50 years waiting for humanity's moment. He could wait a little longer to get this right. Tapark retired to a small laboratory on Earth's moon. He had no interest in politics or glory. He simply wanted to keep building, keep inventing, keep pushing the boundaries of what was possible. He died peacefully in his sleep at the age of 112, surrounded by his creations. Mina Song disappeared after the war. Some said she had finally retired to a quiet life somewhere. Others said she was still out there, watching, waiting, making sure no new threat would ever catch humanity unprepared. No one knew the truth, and that was exactly how Mina wanted it. Hana Lee became the first commander of the Galactic Defense Fleet. She spent the rest of her career protecting the peace that Earth had won. She never forgot the lessons she had learned from Una Kim. She never forgot what humanity had sacrificed to reach this moment. And Jin Choi, the diplomat who had once been humiliated before the old council, stood before the new Galactic Assembly to give its opening address. The chamber was vast and filled with representatives from hundreds of species. Some had been enemies during the war. Some had been allies. All of them now looked to humanity for leadership. Jin walked slowly to the podium. He was very old now, kept alive by technology that Tay had developed. But his voice was still strong. Many years ago, he began, I came before another assembly very different from this one. I came with hope and respect. I offered friendship. I was told that my species was too primitive, too aggressive, too dangerous to be trusted. I was told to accept a cage and be grateful for it. He paused, looking around at the gathered representatives. That assembly made a choice. They chose fear over friendship. They chose control over cooperation. They chose to reject us because they were afraid of what we might become. Jin's eyes grew hard. They were right to be afraid. He let those words hang in the air for a moment. But we did not come to conquer. We came to free. Today, a new era begins. Not an era of one species ruling over others. Not an era of cages and restrictions. An era of equals. An era where every species has a voice. An era where we face the future together. Jin straightened, his old body finding one final moment of strength. I say to you now what I could not say 50 years ago. Humanity comes to you in peace. We offer friendship. We offer cooperation. We ask nothing but respect and equality. The choice of what happens next is yours. He stepped back from the podium. For a long moment, there was silence. Then, slowly at first, the chamber began to applaud. It grew louder, spreading from species to species until the entire assembly was on its feet, cheering, crying, celebrating. Jin Choi smiled. 50 years ago, humanity had been rejected and caged. Today, they had built something no one had imagined possible. They had united a galaxy. And somewhere among the stars, in a quiet corner of a small blue planet, the children of Earth looked up at the night sky and dreamed of all the wonders that awaited them. The galaxy was theirs now, and they were just getting started.